very seriously. So Margarita Simonyan on Kremlin State TV, the head of RT News, has admitted that they have covert operations inside of America to affect the 2024 election. She said this in a recent post from Russian Media Monitor. Since we had been banished everywhere on the 25th of February 2022, an entire empire of covert projects were created that is working with the public opinion in the West. This is the head of RT News on Kremlin State TV bragging to the Russian people that they've created an empire of covert influencers on our social media platforms here in the West to promote Russia and weaken Western democracy, weaken support for Ukraine.
Joe, why do I care? Why do I care what's going on in the conflict between Ukraine and Russia? And I'm serious. Like, why do I care? Tell you why. And why shouldn't I root for Russia?
Guess who it is?
What's your opinion on the solution to the Ukraine war? Cut off the money. It's the only way you get them to the table, right? As long as, we're literally creating the oligarch class of billionaire in Ukraine with whatever's being siphoned off, whether it's Zelensky, whether it's this, while they send young men to die as cannon fodder on the front lines because they couldn't care less. It's fucking disgusting what's going on there, that it's allowed to happen, that we shut down anything. It's so obvious. Nothing's ever going to change there if the money keeps flowing. My father would have been like, hey, you got like one more month of this, and if you're not at the table, it's done.
Yeah. So that is Tim Pool interviewing Donald Trump Jr. How do we end the war in Ukraine? Cut off the money. Cut off all support for Ukraine. Allow the Russians just to win. Allow the Russians to take everything they want to take. This is the narrative from Kremlin-paid influencers like Tim.
The Trump administration has approved a plan to provide lethal weapons to Ukraine, a long-awaited move that deepens America's involvement in the military conflict and may further strain relations with Russia.
His YouTube channel.
They know it. But I don't know that it matters anymore. This is psychotic. Ukraine is the enemy of this country. Ukraine is our enemy, being funded by the Democrats. I will stress this again. One of the greatest enemies of our nation right now is Ukraine. They are expanding this war. Now, don't get me wrong, I know. You've got criminal elements of the U.S. government pushing them and guiding them and telling them what to do. Ukraine is now accused, a German warrant issued for blowing up the Nord Stream pipeline, triggering this conflict. Ukraine is the greatest threat to this nation and to the world. We should rescind all funding and financing, pull out all military support, and we should apologize to Russia.
This guy needs to go to jail.
Deal with Russia.
It's very sad when Germany makes a massive oil and gas deal with Russia, where you're supposed to be guarding against Russia, and Germany goes out and pays billions and billions of dollars a year to Russia.
Russia is not doing that. They're not attacking Christianity. As a matter of fact, they seem to be protecting it. So that's something else that's clear and obvious to many people that are looking closely at what's going on.
Subject of Russia and Ukraine, because you really also have come out in support of the Christians in Ukraine. Can you talk, because I think sometimes we're a little bit, we can be confused, maybe as there's a lot of disinformation out there and it's just a confusing situation. What is the state of Christians in Ukraine and how Russia's authoritarianism and aggression against Ukraine is harming them?
They're targeted, specifically. I've met with multiple times with religious leaders, pastors who are there, some of my own denomination, Southern Baptists have missionaries there, and a lot of these clergy are in fear for their own families, and some of them have been targeted. I mean, I've seen examples and photographs of families who were taken out by targeted rockets to their apartment building on, level 5 of an apartment building because they are Christians. I mentioned earlier the importance of maintaining religious freedom is, if you can, and the communists always do this, they go after the Christians first. They target Christians. Why? Because they believe they owe an allegiance to a power higher than the government, than the state, right? And so you have to eliminate that, and then it's a demonic thing in my view, but they target people who have that belief and they want to stamp it out, and it's vicious and vile, it shows exactly what Putin and his regime is all about. And I think it's an important thing to highlight. And I don't think it's something that ought to be underestimated.
Нас Святая Церковь сегодня учит, как должно воевать и побеждать в самой главной войне, в которой всякий христианин, вот прям с такого возраста, как только принесли его крестить в храм, он к ней уже предназначен. И эта война, она не может закончиться перемирием на какой-то срок или компромиссом. Я в чем-то уступлю и отстанет. Нет. Война за самое главное. Не за какие-то земные наши пожелания или приобретения, которые все очень временные. А война за то, чтобы быть на небе или в случае проигрыша оказаться во власти дьявола в аду. Умереть каждому предстоит обязательно, совершенно необходимо. Но если умереть придется все равно, то так лучше же умереть за Христа. Это же гораздо лучше, чем от рака в больнице, там, в памперсах. Это гораздо лучше умереть за Христа.
Но главное что? Понимаете, на Украине болезнь так запущена, что уже никакими уговорами, переговорами, ничем там ничего это излечить невозможно. Там возможно только хирургия. Поэтому ответом на вот на эти выступления нацистов может быть одни – солнцепек. Это нужно выжигать. Совершенно так. Мне скажут, ой, это не христианский путь. Христианский вполне. Который лично взял и перерезал глотки 300 служителям Валаама. И с этими также нужно уничтожать без всякого сомнения.